Are you prepared for adulting? Today, we're not gonna lie.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of NGL. We love to have you with us. And today we are here to talk about another very exciting topic in our 20s. My name is Natasha.
I'm Zelanie, and today we're gonna talk about things that no one prepared us for about adulting.
Indeed.
Yes, and we have a friend here with us today as well. Would you like to introduce yourself to the camera?
Okay. Hi, my name is Yuhan. Yeah, and I'm currently I've been working for about 7 months now. Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's why
very
you're
fresh.
here. So when we were talking with Yuhan in preparation for this shoot, right, we realized that the things that people don't prepare us for are quite universal lah. So we all kind of agree, even though we enter work at different times, right?
That's right.
So I think today's episode will be really relevant if you're confused about money, you're confused about relationships, you're confused about every other thing that you're supposed to be confused about in your 20s. Today we're here to hopefully answer your questions.
Yeah, or we can be confused together.
Yeah, maybe we are still confused. Okay, let's talk about our surprises, okay? What about adulthood surprised you?
One of the biggest parts was actually suddenly there's a whole trove of things that you have to manage that I was in my own ignorant bubble when I was a student. I just live on a day-to-day basis. Hey, when's my next submission? Oh, when's my next exam? So, I was just living this kind of life. But I think as an adult, it's wow, suddenly there's so many other variables that you kind of have to manage. I mean, I went through my university studies in COVID. So, it's just online university, tuning into Zoom and things like that. So actually my sleep schedule when I was a student was absolutely terrible. Aside from the fact that there are recordings, right, I would just work on the premise of okay, I'll just manage my time as long as I clear my deliverables, it's fine, right? My work, my submissions, I study. So I think it gotten so bad to a point that my body clock was on a kind of a biphasic sleep schedule where I would I'll wake up at maybe 12 to 1 p.m. Then I'll work for a few hours, I'll study, I'll code or whatsoever. Then once I feel that, okay, I have hit a mental block, I'm getting a bit tired, I just return back to sleep. Then I'll wake up in the middle of the night, 1 a.m. Then I'll just continue working again. Then at 4, I'll just head back to bed.
Oh so this was so strange.
This was your daily sleep
It's
schedule.
most of the time.
Wow.
It has never occurred to me that COVID year university students are not prepared for work like we are.
So I guess, to answer your question, I think one of the biggest transitions was actually getting into the kind of regular cadence of work.
Yeah.
Hey, having to wake up at a certain timing. So it's a
Okay.
9 to
Normal
6
lah,
schedule.
normal. Yeah.
With no naps in between.
No. I wish there was a napping spot, but no.
I really think that is like an untapped field. We should really have napping hours in offices.
Right.
Yeah, it would really boost productivity.
I think so.
Workforce
also.
SG, if you are watching this, sleeping pods.
For the new generation.
You want to attract Gen Z workers, right? That's what
Yeah.
So yeah, but I agree. That was my hardest transition into work life. I feel because as a student, right, just like you, I had a terrible sleeping schedule. So no matter how I work late into the night because I have terrible sleeping habits, right? No matter what, on a Wednesday or on a Thursday, I can crash and I will sleep in to kind of repay my sleep debt, right? And then life goes on lah. But then as a working adult, I cannot crash on Wednesdays or I'll get fired, right?
Yeah, Wednesdays are
It's
the
the
most
worst.
tiring days
It's the worst.
of the work week.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
you
yeah.
already work 2 days and you're so tired, but the weekend is nowhere
It's very
near
far
inside.
away, right?
So Wednesdays are always so sad.
Yeah, so I feel that having to wake up early every morning, not being able to crash, and then only having the weekend to cram in all your social activities, that was torture. Yeah, so that was very hard.
As you shared, right, I realized that deadlines are deadlines, right? In university, you have deadlines. I would say the biggest difference that maybe creates a bit more pressure or anxiety on us when we become working adults is that the consequences and the stakes are different,
Oh, yes.
right?
Yeah, I do feel because in an exam or project setting, sometimes you know that I still
20%
strive.
only, ah.
Yeah, it's just 20% only lah. Okay lah, if this
20% effort
portion
carry.
is not too good, then
Work harder next time.
I'll just compensate with
Yeah.
my exam. I'm more confident in that.
Yeah, or I
I'll
can-
work to my strengths.
I can throw away this mod because the rest of the mods I'll do better.
SU. You can't SU a work project.
You cannot SEO a work project. Yes. Oh my god.
They will just fire you.
Wow. Oh, sorry for this month's report. I didn't really feel like it.
You're not feeling it lah. No vibes to do.
Yeah.
No vibes to
I'll do better next. Oh no, no.
Then your pay this month also prorated 20%.
Yeah, your employer said, I got no vibes to pay you lah.
Actually, it's quite true. There's that constant pressure to perform at that to upkeep that level
Yeah.
of performance.
Oh my gosh, and then there's no break.
Oh yeah.
And you talk about 14 days of leave. Walao. Okay, but anyway, yes.
Then I'm quite lucky. I start off with 18, then it increases to 21.
You start with
I start with
18.
18.
That's privilege.
That's so good, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's 14, right? Because that's the minimum.
No,
MOM.
so I recently learned that in Singapore, the minimum is 7.
Wait, what?
It's 7, I think. Yeah, it's not 14.
Wait,
I used to
really?
think that because I get 14 like as a baseline, I thought that was average. But I realized some people get 7 and that's so sad. That's like just 1 week eh. That was something I was very not used to because I think as a student, your entire like semester break is really yours, to plan.
That's
And you
true.
look forward to
dream.
it
Yeah.
so
Wow.
Because I can be
much.
very tired now, but the break is coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's true.
It's like I just live my life every 12 weeks, 12 to 14 weeks.
It's true. I used to tell people, right, uni, you blink, 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 blink. Then like, semester over already.
gone.
That's
Then after a while,
right.
your whole uni education is over.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's not what it is. Adulthood is forever.
Wow. That's true about the leaves. Because I mean, in my holidays, I tend to just no. There are days that I just want to do nothing.
Yeah,
I just
and
want
you
to
can.
retreat to my space.
And you really
Yeah.
can.
I mean,
Me, it's
technically,
weeks, not days.
now with leave you can, but then there's that that cost benefit analysis.
Am I
is it really
utilizing
worth
my
it?
time well?
I mean, for example, in your case, like wow, is lying down and not doing anything
Yeah,
really worth 1 day
exactly.
of leave?
Exactly. Then you feel like you take leave, right? You must be productive with your leave day,
Yeah.
I must plan to go Sentosa. Then after that, I must like plan in time to go eat a nice dinner or like catch the sunset. Then so that after I come back, I'm like, wow, I utilized this 1 day of leave so well. Then after my 1 day of leave, I need another day of leave to rest from the
recover.
planning. Wow, this mental energy, I just cannot. But I feel for me also, right? Like, this one I was totally not expecting it, but I realized after I had started work for a while, like not just physically tired, right? But I felt very socially exhausted. Like because maybe as a student, like as an introvert, right? Like I had a lot of time to kind of just like hide away on my own. But I actually had a lot of alone time in uni, even the like traveling time and all, it was all my own time. Then suddenly when I started work, right? Oh my goodness, like every minute of like my 8-hour work day, I'm like with somebody. And then like the nature of my work is that there's a lot of human interaction.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to like engaging in the human interaction for my role, but I really don't. So like, after a while, I feel so tired. Like, I just
Oh,
want to
no.
go home and like,
Did your office have any, those pods that you can just hide in and do your own work? Or it was very tough?
have
for you?
lah. But then I also feel like if I keep hiding in a room alone, do I look very antisocial when like the company culture maybe is a bit more like
Collaborative.
interactive,
Yeah.
collaborative. So like every time I sit on my desk, right, then somebody kind of tap me on the shoulder, want to ask me something or want to have some chat, or like if I'm at the pantry and like I'm there because actually I need to get some me time, then somebody like walks past me and like, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'm great. Then I go to the toilet because nobody can interrupt me in the
Toilet is the
toilet.
safe space.
Yeah, so like social exhaustion was something that I completely did not expect at all. Yeah, I realized that one other area that I had to maybe figure out a little bit more also was what friendship looked like in adulthood. I think because like as students, right, a large part of that friendship is proximity. Like you spend a lot of time together taking classes, but then suddenly when we all become adults, and especially when everybody kind of transits into working adulthood at the same time, we're all tired. Different people need to OT. I had this friend, right, like, cause she was working in like the finance industry, so their hours are crazy lah. She was doing
Yeah.
trading, and she would get off work maybe at like 3 a.m. So like we felt that like as a group of friends, we hadn't seen her in so long, right? So one day we said, oh my gosh, we are gonna meet at the bar like under your office, like level 1. Then she came down, she joined us for 15 minutes. Then she went back up. So that was the lengths that we went to kind of stay connected as friends. But personally, like I think I had to go through quite a big transition because like what I shared, I was very socially exhausted from work. And because of that, sometimes the thought of having to plan in like having a lot of catch-ups with my friends felt very tiring to me, to the point that I feel maybe I didn't transit very well into it. Like I felt I could have managed like friendship a bit better lah. Like for example, like when I was very overwhelmed, right? Like it was very hard for me to even reply text. So like I had quite a bad habit of like like stacking up a lot of unread messages, taking very, very long to get back to my friends, which I feel is quite rude and it's really not the best. But it came from a place of being quite overwhelmed with social interaction. Then also I think because I started work earlier than some of my friends, right? So like at the start when I was kind of navigating all that tiredness and adjustments, actually they were still quite free. So to them they did desire like that kind of like social interaction or like catching up a bit more, being more updated
Which
with
you
each
couldn't
other's
give.
life. And I just couldn't. Yeah. So that was something that I think I knew might have happened, but I wasn't prepared for the extent to which I would feel so tired until like, wow, actually even people I love, I also struggle to carve out time to spend
Yeah,
with them.
you wouldn't expect that
Yeah.
to reach that kind of level of exhaustion.
Yeah, lor. Like, is that something that you guys faced also?
Yeah, Yuhan, how is it?
Wow, I
Because
think
your work
that's-
can be quite
Yeah,
challenging.
correct. It's quite true. I think actually how my friends, so I mean, I had some friends that naturally we grew distant because of like, okay, we started meeting up a bit less when we are what, and to them, I think the idea of like closeness and everything is based on proximity, like
Yeah,
you shared.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think something that my friends do is that, okay, we game. So
Okay,
at night, you know,
yeah.
when we game,
And
right?
you're at
Then
home.
I think, yeah, especially when guys, we game, yeah, we game at home. Then after
And you all
that,
feel bonded.
yeah, we feel bonded. Because aside from that, sometimes we just like, hey, how's work? Ah? Oh, shag, bro. Wow, today, Then, you know, that's like how like sharing life, and there's still that touch point.
Yeah.
But I guess gradually as work got busier also, then the kind of interactions and the frequency of it did drop. So sometimes it's very hard to arrange on a date. Like sometimes, wow, he will chill, then I'm just, wow. Saturday, but it's my only time to myself. Or it's a day that like kind of like allotted
Yeah.
for. I already made plans or what.
Yeah.
Then sometimes it's very hard to kind of align this kind of schedules. But I realized that it kind of takes a lot of intentionality. And I think it got to a point that I think thankfully my friends are quite vocal. Then they even told me like, hey, I do hope that like actually it would be kind of nice if you will join us once in a while.
Oh.
Yeah, because I feel like wow, I really need to recharge from the interaction.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
there are days that I think they do express like, hey,
Oh.
we haven't seen you in a while. We kind of miss you. I mean, aside from gaming and what, we do wish you come and hang out with us again.
Yeah, I think one thing that I wished I did more. I mean, now I'm in my 30s, right? In my 20s is to make more effort to keep in touch with my old friends and be more intentional. I felt that, like just now I mentioned, because you know, work got very busy.
Yeah.
The first things I dropped were my family and friends. Sadly, yeah, because I always thought like, oh, they'll be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you know, we can meet up when the holidays, December starts. Yeah, but I realized like it having one meetup a year
Not
and
enough, right?
very few texts in
Yeah.
between. I mean, if I'm very fortunate to have very understanding and good friends that really stuck around. But like I think reflecting back, I wish that I did create more space and time for that. Like work, I guess work never ends, work never stops. Yeah, but I don't think I should take like other people, things in my life for granted lah, just because I have to do the work. Yeah, so Yuhan, there's still hope.
I think that's quite helpful because I think now currently I'm in that phase where kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, right? Like, wow, when I'm so tired or now that I'm working and getting quite busy, the first things that I drop are my friends and family, which I think actually hearing from you guys was really quite helpful lah. Yeah. So I think in hopes of wanting to carve out time, right, I think my friends have actually been trying to, because I mentioned earlier that they are quite a mix of people, be it working adults to some fresh grads or whatsoever, right? So there are some that like, oh, you know, they would ask for impromptu trips. So recently they went on an impromptu trip to, I can't remember the country. I think Phuket. Then they went to get their diving certifications.
Wow.
But back then it was so tough for me to kind of like, oh, I really want to go. Okay, Phuket is not very expensive. I can carve out a bit of like my money to go, but I'm on probation, you know, sadly. You know, sometimes they talk about, okay, how about this? Never mind. Let's save up for something better. You know, like, hey, never mind this Phuket one, not everyone can make it, I understand. But hey, let's go to Japan. Well, then to play a Japan trip, I think they would spend like 3K per pax. Then next thing you know, there's that kind of like thought of like,
Considerations also, financial.
Yeah, I cleared probation already, but I need to save for BTO. I don't know whether I'm getting any grants or whatsoever. Hey, I intend to get married, you know.
Wow,
How does
that's
all this
a whole
cost?
other, yeah, that's a whole other area of adulting, man. Finance.
Yeah, got money, no time. Got time, no money. It's like the perpetual tension of life.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Okay, so on that note of money, right? I guess one of the very obvious transitions we have when we start work is that you suddenly have adult money.
Adult money.
So what was that like for you, given that it's quite a fresh experience?
Well, it's quite interesting because I think a lot of us, especially my colleagues now, right? With regards to adult money, I think we are kind of like reliving our childhood dreams. So actually, my office has gone through like a Beyblade phase.
Oh my
So my boss is very into Beyblades. Then he'll be like, come play Beyblade with me. Then we'll take out the arena. Then
You have the arena?
yeah, it's inside our
Oh my
room.
gosh, that was my childhood dream.
Yeah, so Beyblades. One of my colleagues is into Pokemon cards. We buy. He also buys like vintage consoles. Then we play our Pokemon games on it. So it's kind of nice, like you can relieve the kind of like the nice things that you wanted in your childhood that you never.
That your
really-
mother never let you buy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how you navigating your adult money now?
Wow, it's very different because I think the key differentiator between my student days and now is that navigating uni was just counting down that money. So it's just like, okay, after this allocated amount for school fees, right? Then okay lah, it's just counting down, right? The end goal is just okay lah, how do I tide through uni?
Yeah.
I think I was a bit more. I wasn't that prudent back then, right? It's just a countdown, right? As long as it's within my means. But I think now as an adult, wow, somehow I got attached in my final year of my uni, so it's a bit of like so there's a lot more things to chart there. Like finances, like insurance, the things like BTO, like how much do I charge? If I don't get grants, then how much money do I have to save and things like that. So I think I was just like, it was a shock for me, like, oh my god, yeah, I have to give to my parents too, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things to like kind of factor in, and it was very different from just, I'm just counting down,
Yeah.
Does it feel like even though in some sense your income went up by a lot as compared to as a student, right? But actually your expenses unknowingly shot up also.
Yeah, it
As
really
a student, you never think about these kind of things, what?
Yeah.
You won't like, maybe you will save for, I don't know,
An
like
item
a pair of
or
sneakers.
something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but now you're saving for a down payment of a house.
Wow, which is a very different skill. A pair of sneakers is like, when you compare it to the
Yeah,
price of
yeah.
a house, it's like, wow.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that also because like I got attached in my final semester of uni, right? So, but my boyfriend back then was already like working lah, so he was like 1 year ahead of me. Then we were thinking about also applying for BTO because we know that they take very long to build, right? So back then when like we went to like see the different projects and then like see how much roughly like maybe a 4-room flat costs, a 5-room flat. Well, I felt like I was playing a game. Like these numbers are so big that it doesn't feel real to me.
It's like Monopoly.
Yes, it's
But
really
this one
like
is your
Monopoly.
money.
The card say how much, then but this one people come my house don't pay me money.
Yeah,
Like
you don't
Monopoly at
collect
least I get
at
money
the
when
go.
people come my house. So I see, I was like, wow, like playing game. To the point that when they ask me pay, 10% is it?
Yeah.
Down payment. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't have 5 figures in my account. How do we afford this? Then hello, daddy, mommy, can we pay you back next time? But that comes from a position of privilege lah.
Yeah.
So that's true. Like I think with how, in some sense, the Singapore property market is, your BTO takes very long to build. It's quite likely that if you really want to maybe get married by or move into your house in like your mid to late 20s, you have to apply when you're much poorer.
Correct.
In your early 20s.
Yeah.
And so finances are a very, very crazy
Yeah.
and real thing.
Yeah, so I mean, while it sounds
Yes.
on paper, it's quite nice to get the house early. Hey, wow, I'm the lucky few too. So I'm quite fortunate. I got my BTO on the second try.
Wow,
But it's just like suddenly the whole planning and the whole
It
charting
becomes
process.
very real, even more
yeah,
real,
it's
right?
expedited. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, it's real.
Wow.
But okay, I think the planning, for me at least, I don't know about you, it stressed me out quite a bit. Like, because I think I was very aware that, like, financial needs were very real. Like, knowing that, okay, in time to come, like, for me, firstly, we were planning for wedding. House was later lah. But we had to pay the down payment of the BTO, and then after that, the house was coming, right? So, this was all money that I know, like, I'm still trying to save up towards. So, it's not even like, I already have this money and then I just choose a nice date to get married. It's like, I roughly know by when I want to get married. Then in this process, I am saving up for that event. Then once that date comes, all this money gone Like gone means gone, It's not like I lend you, then you return me another day. It's like saving for a grad trip, just that now the number you add a few more digits at the back,
Yeah.
So I think it was that feeling of like, wow, I worked so hard to save this money. I scrimp on my expenses, but this money can be gone in a day. Or it can be gone on one big purchase, like like your house reno and things like that, right? And then I'm back at square one and I have to keep saving again. Yeah. But to some degree, I feel like maybe that is what establishing your life as an adult will be like at the beginning. Yeah, because you will have to buy these big ticket items, and maybe my impression going to adulthood is that my savings will just continually grow. Yeah. So eventually when I got to a point where like it dropped because I spent so much money doing something quite necessary. Then I have to rebuild, right? I really felt the pinch.
Yeah.
I felt like this was not what I expected. But after I came out of that shock, I was like, okay, actually, to be fair, I should expect this one if I want to buy a house, if I want to have a wedding and things like that. So maybe just adjust your expectations. Your savings are not going to just like continue growing if you plan to have big ticket items. Rationally, it will take a little bit of a dip.
That's quite true. Yeah, I guess, I mean, as you mentioned, as you use the grad trip as like a reference or parallel that you've drawn, right? I think it's quite true. Actually, the big ticket items as an adult, I don't know, to me, I mean, I haven't hit that point yet. I haven't paid for it yet. I just know I have to pay for it one day. It's just that I think compared to a grad trip, some things just feel more tangible than the others. Like as a grad trip, okay I get to enjoy. It's time to spend. It's time to yay.
So
but,
marriage, not enjoyment.
I mean, aside from marriage, I'm talking about like things like the house. Hey, we are finally moving in. But even the whole process of moving in, doing reno, going back and forth, buying furniture, it's still work. Like in a sense where it's not really, you don't get to feel it. And even if I spend like, let's
not
say,
so fast lah, the gratification.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or like, why would you feel a difference between a $2,000 couch and a $800 couch, for example? So that whole like justification thing is very different from like, holiday is a time to splurge. But yet, I think the kind of expenditures that you have as an adult is calculated.
Yes,
which is very different. Yeah.
In terms of big ticket items that I spend on in adulting wise, it will be paying for my own paying for everything on my own, like my phone bills, my transport.
Transport adds up.
Yeah. Last time still got the student concession card, right? Yeah, so actually transport is quite a big one.
It's quite big, yes.
Every month, right? And then also I think giving money to my parents, I do that every month. So I think there were a lot of every month things that in the end, like it did take up maybe about 40% of my income. Giving money to my parents is just one thing, but I realized that as I became older, they also become older. And I felt like in the last 5 years, technology advanced so much, right? That they really it really was too fast for them. I felt that there were a lot of things that they really couldn't understand, like how the world worked. So I found myself teaching them how to create SingPass, how to like create their social media account, how to all these small things that I felt like they really didn't know. So I found that like I was teaching my parents quite a lot of things.
Yeah, so I think like over the past few years as I like was working, right, my first few years, like I didn't really see much of a change with my parents. I think also like a lot of times our memory of our parents are kind of locked into a certain phase of their life where we like, and for me, like my parents have always been quite involved in my life. So like my dad or my mom, both of them would offer to sometimes send me to school, send me places. So I'm quite used to that version of them. The parents who kind of are there for me, go to work quite a bit, that version of my parents. Then I started noticing like maybe when I was working, right, that like they were starting to slow down a little bit and it was a bit gradual. So it's not something that you kind of just notice out of the blue one day. I noticed things like how my dad's driving was a bit jerkier than normal. Like his response time really a bit slower. Like sometimes like the car go very near like the car in front of us, right? Then I'll be like, daddy. So like small things like that, or like his hearing starting to have problem, like things starting to go wrong in their body. So those were things that I started to notice. And then eventually when like my nephew was born, I don't know, there's something about hearing them refer to themselves as Ama and Akong. They're like, wow, now you really old. You old, How did I not notice this for the past 5 years? Like my memory of them was still stuck in like when I was in uni, that version of my parents. Then suddenly like, oh my gosh, you like grandpa, grandma. Wow, suddenly it hit me that, oh my gosh, my parents have entered grandparent stage, which means I officially enter real adult stage. Because everybody up here the same time, right? I'm no longer the kid, now there's an actual baby at home. So I think that was quite surreal, watching them like play with someone of the next generation. And then like realizing that when we go out, sometimes I have to more mindfully watch out for them in a way that I never had to last time.
True.
Yeah, the roles have been reversed from them watching out for me as a like kid to like me having to watch out for them now.
I didn't realize, actually it's only after you said it that, I was locked in the past. My memory of that is locked in the past. I think for me, it just took one good like work from home day, right? Then I saw my dad came home early. I just stared at him. wow, since when was his arm so wrinkly, or like since when is his skin so like saggy? Yeah, he used to be quite well built. I'm just like, aside from the beer belly, but it's just like he used to be quite well built lah, because his work is a bit more
Physical labor.
physical labor.
You can see the pigmentation.
Yeah, you can see the pigmentation.
Yeah.
There's a bit of the. Then now after I notice it, then you can't unsee it. Wow,
Yeah.
hey, his hair is a bit grayer, or like whiter. It really hit me very hard, because it's like, oh, actually, yeah, my dad was he can do a lot of physical labor.
Yeah.
He's in construction, so you can like, it's really very things that I can't even do
strong.
at my age, right? He's very stronger than me. But it's like, then you look in, actually, he looks a bit frail.
Yeah.
Yeah, then like you said, I have to look out for them in ways that I never thought I had to. Then my mom, the businesswoman that kind of like, is just always on the ball, just a lot of paperwork, on the phone all the time. Then suddenly you see the ama side of her,
Yeah.
or like the auntie side where she's just watching K-drama. Then after a while, you just look at her and like, wow, she's really aging.
Yeah.
They're not that like, wow, it's so weird. And I think that's something that hit me a lot more recently also.
I don't know. In some sense, like being able to accept that things change in life. Because honestly, sometimes to me, the thought that my parents are like becoming a bit older, more frail. And all my life, my parents to me are very strong. Yeah, like they are my rock. And
Capable.
like very capable, very resilient people. Like no matter what nonsense happened to them in life, they will find a way out of it and they will bounce back. So like now having to, in some sense, like switch my impression of them as people who maybe are in need of more support. I have to watch out for them. Sometimes can feel a bit sad. Like especially when you consider the fact that they're just gonna get older, right?
Yeah.
Like they will probably get more frail. More things are probably really going to go wrong in their body and like there will be health scares. Like while that kind of is a little bit sad, makes me feel a bit scared about the future. But I think when I accept that actually now I'm the adult, like they are obviously still adults, but as they are growing older, I would like to actually grow into the role of being an adult. Actually now is really the time for us to step up and take care of them, rather than just
Correct.
always feel like, okay lah, they're just always there to take care of us. They can take care of themselves. But I want to take care of them. Yeah. So I feel that there is some beauty to that also.
On this like whole preparing for adulthood, right? Like, were there any, I guess, how do you guys like prepare for it?
So I do have an elder brother that is quite a bit older than me. So he has been working for quite a while. He's already married with kids. And I think there's a lot of like little nuggets of like wisdom that he will drop. Like, hey, we should do
He's such a
something.
good-
But I feel that like as much as there's a lot of preparation, I think a lot of things I'm still learning on the go. And I think retroactively, I wish that there's a lot of other things that I would have known. But yeah, I think but something that I come to realize at the end of the day is that okay lah, I mean there's always the ups and downs and the pros and cons for every season. But I think to kind of like enjoy the phase that you're in now, because with every different phase comes a different set of struggles, but a different set of like joys also lah. So I think back then I was looking forward to like graduating. Like hey, I can't wait for the adult money. I can't wait to kind of like instead of working from savings, I work from income, you know. It's very different, right? Yeah, so but I do realize that actually in hindsight, I do miss my student days. I do miss the free time. I do miss that kind of like ignorant little bubble that I was in.
Oh, it was indeed a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Miss being a child.
yeah, I miss being a
Yeah.
child. And I do realize that this kind of phase and this whole like I do miss, like, you know, looking back retroactively, I do miss my previous phase.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
also applied in my uni days where I kind of miss my NS days. Hey,
True
there's
lah, true.
there's no
Yeah.
responsibilities. Like
It's
okay, what
nostalgia.
yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever instructions or whatever you have to do on a day-to-day basis, just okay lah. Just do and you won't screw up kind of thing. You can just shut off and perform. Yeah, so it's really a very happy, ignorant bubble. Hey, when's the next book up? When's the next? Kind of like, what can I eat next, right? But actually, then you start to get a certain like semblance of it once you go into uni. Hey, if I drop the ball on this thing or my project work or what, right? Then there will be implications on my grades. Then I start to realize that I kind of miss that ignorant bubble. Then now, you know, it's kind of a recurring theme.
So it's like we're losing our ignorance more and more.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I do miss my previous phases of my life.
Okay, but now you want to treasure the current phase.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's very important in kind of like finding the kind of like gratitude in the current phase of your life.
Yeah.
Like being thankful for what you have. Because I think it's very easy to become very bitter or very like, you know, you start complaining about everything like, wow, my working hours are tiring, or like, wow, work is, you know, I mean, we did share a large bulk of it today, but I do realize that actually there's a lot of little joys that is very easy to miss out on. Like, I have a great boss. Actually, not everyone has that privilege. Or like, I have that kind of understanding from like, I have a great team, you know, people are willing to support me and step up. It's very easy to miss out on this like little nuances that if you are stuck in that whole cycle of like bitterness or comparisons, you know, or my peers are earning more, to things like that. These are things that will eat away at that kind of like joy and gratitude for whatever phase of your life they are currently in now.
Exactly. I really like what you said. I just had this conversation with my friend like I think yesterday or 2 days ago. We were talking about it in the context of like singlehood and marriage. You know how sometimes like when you're in singlehood, you're like, wow, I can't wait to be attached. I can't wait to find somebody. Can't wait to build a life with somebody. Then sometimes when you're married, right, then you're like, wow, I actually miss a bit of the freedom. Or like now every decision that you make, you have to consider this other person. Then we were just saying that, don't you think it's very funny that like wherever you are, you're just always feeling like, oh my gosh, it would be better to be on the other side, right? Then actually you spend every moment of your life being not so happy. Because in whatever phase you're in, or you just think that something else will make you happier. Versus actually if we can really see the purpose of every season, right? In this case, like whether it's like as a student, as a working adult, if we can see the purpose, we can live in the purpose and find fulfillment and satisfaction in that, then you spend every phase of your life satisfied. Versus every phase of your life dissatisfied and looking forward towards something else. Yeah. And I would rather that lah to be happier and more settled with where I am in life, you know.
And this is interesting because adulting helped us to realize that. I think as a student, I probably spend more days being like discontented sort of and just trying to look forward to adulthood. Yeah, where I
Freedom,
can,
right? We think
freedom. My parents will stop questioning me and giving me curfews.
It's
But
true,
I
it's true.
feel
Those
like,
things did happen.
right? Yeah. But I think sometimes in like adulting also teaches us how to appreciate life a little bit more.
Yeah.
How I navigated the first few years of adulthood, something that I was very thankful for was a community that I had that I could ask for advice, seek out advice from. I think apart from my parents, I was the oldest sibling in my family. So I think even my cousins as well, like I was one of the oldest. So I don't think I had, you know, like that older brotherly or sisterly figure to go to advice for. So I was very thankful that I think in my church community there were seniors that, you know, went before me that they could share not just about school, right, like how to survive your exams or what, but even the first 2 years of transitioning into work life, relating with me and giving me advice about managing work boundaries, expectations. And also at work, right, I met so many different people from different walks of life that just brought so many new and fresh perspectives about what life can really look like that I didn't experience back then when I was a student. And then I realized that adulting is like, it's a super long phase. And I think last time it really scared me quite a bit. But yet, I think in my like through, you know, working and making friends with colleagues of different life stations and walks of life, right, I realized that, actually, there are people around, you know, there's communities around that like I can reach out to, and just build connections with and find support from also.
Yeah, I like that. For me, right, I will give very practical advice. I would say to prepare for your adulthood, fix your body clock.
First step.
Really? I mean, okay, if you're really sleeping fine as a student, wow, fantastic, 5% of the population. But like, I believe for the other 95%, you're probably like myself and Yuhan. And I think because of that, I had an even harder transition into work life. I feel no matter what, even if you sleep normally, the having to wake up every day, work a full day will already be tiring one, no matter what.
It's true.
But because my body clock was so screwed up, like, it was so hard. Like, it's not just the physical tiredness, you know. Every night I go to sleep with the anxiety that I will not wake up on time for work. And like, it's very stressful. Like, there were really a few times where I also overslept. Then I woke up, I felt so shitty. And then like, I grabbed all the way down to work. And then when I reach office, I still feel so shitty. I feel so bad about myself. And like, like fix your body clock. Then maybe another thing is to not be afraid to not know and like learn. For example, for me, right, like when it comes to like finances, I feel to some degree I psych myself out. I just like have grown up ever since I started failing math. I just feel like I'm very bad with numbers, which is kind of true, I think. Like, numbers don't interest me at all. I get overwhelmed and like, so when I had to become an adult and have to think about things like managing my finances, looking into investments, and everybody gives you the same few advice when you become an adult. Say, oh, you must start planning for retirement in your 20s. You must think about investments, not just savings. Put it into investments because your bank interest rate will not gain you how much. Then talk about CPF investment, all that kind of thing. So every time people tell me about these things, right, I honestly just shut off. And like I feel like I don't even try to understand because I feel like I cannot understand. When Brian and I were applying for a credit card in our marriage prep, right? Like he opened the like terms and conditions of the credit card page. I read like 5 seconds. That's it. I'm out. You take over. We are a team, right? You can do it. Yeah, so like I just cannot. I keep telling myself like I hate it and I don't want to learn. But I think after a while I have learned that being an adult is sucking it up and learning it anyway. It's like, for example, if I become a mother, I cannot just say I don't want to learn. Right? I need to read the books and I need to learn how to feed my baby and all these things. And depending on what you think is important to you in your adulthood, some things you just have to learn lah. And it's okay to not know. Like, it's okay that you didn't learn these things in school. I don't know why I have this belief that like, if I never learn it in school, I'm so disadvantaged. Yeah, so like I just have this mentality, you know. Maybe I'm a big believer of our education system. So if I never learn it, I just feel like, wow, I'm not prepared for adulthood. But I realize that's not true lah. There are a lot of things that you can pick up in your adulthood. You can learn. I think now the current sentiment also is that many people actually like they graduate one degree, they end up doing something totally different. So in some way, I feel that has kind of promoted a good culture of like always just upskilling yourself and learning different things as you grow older. That's something that I'm trying to pick up and be more open-minded too, because I think by nature, I like to be really good at some things and then just feel like I can't do the other things. Yeah, so just learning to be more open-minded, to learn, to expose myself to other important things that I may not have had exposure to as part of becoming an adult. Yeah.
Yeah, I think today we covered quite a bit on, you know, the different kind of things that we get bombarded with when we first, you know, graduate out of school and into the workforce. Things like realizing our parents have, you know, changed a bit. Learning how to deal with adult money, our time and energy and social, you know, tank kind of management. And I think all these things are things that like somehow, whichever degree that we study, right, won't really prepare us for. But yet, at the same time, there is still that capacity for us to learn, which I think that's super amazing. Not everything you learn in school just stays in that way, but there are so many different ways to learn also. And I felt that was something that I caught after hearing our stories and conversations.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and you know, we really hope that whatever that we talked about today are things that, you know, you could really resonate with as well. And we would love to hear your stories to, you know, people out there, how you've navigated the first few years of adulting. Maybe you have experienced similar struggles like us, or even new things also that we haven't talked about this episode, because it's such a big spectrum.
It's a big topic, yeah.
We love to hear from you, and we hope that whatever that we shared today is something that could be helpful as well and encouraging to you as well.
Yeah, so if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like. You can also subscribe to our channel. If you've been watching our episodes but you haven't subscribe so that you will always know when new episodes come out. And you can also share this episode with some of your friends who you know might resonate with this content as well. You can find us on many different platforms. We are on social media, on TikTok and Instagram at ngl.people. And you can find our episodes on YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also join our Telegram channel where we share behind the scenes footage as well as details about our events, our parties, which are amazing, by the way. You really gotta come.
You have to come.
So we really, really look forward to seeing you in person one day. But if not, we will also catch you in our next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.